Week 2 of the Hackney Diamond Tour is officially in the books. And what a week it was. The shows in Glendale, Arizona and Las Vegas, Nevada were absolutely highlights of the tour so far. What we saw in the last week is the Stones getting tighter and more on point than the first few shows, which is just about on schedule for them. They usually start out in a very rocky kind of way, but within a few shows they get stabilized, and that's exactly what happened this past week. I was at these shows, and it was great to finally see what was going on in person. Glendale began similarly to the past shows. Things were off to an okay start. We had some new additions with She's So Cold, which was completely out of the blue. They really improved the intro of the song. They never really did the intro much like the studio recording, so it was cool to hear them do something faithful to the original studio cut with the guitar intro between Keith and Ronnie. That was pretty cool to see. But for me, things kicked into high gear with Monkey Man. Again, another update to the song, another redesign was happening here, because after Ronnie's solo and that chorus break, there's a breakdown, which was never there before, between Daryl, Steve, and Mick. The guitarists sort of pause and move away while the rhythm section kind of takes over. And then, next thing you know, Keith comes back and Ronnie comes back full force, and it becomes this tornado of sounds, and it was incredible to hear that. They sounded like, just the world's greatest rock and roll band. While I was there in person in that pit, it was really an onslaught of guitars, and finally that stereo effect that you're looking for between Keith and Ronnie was there. And that goes to show that if you really want to get the effect of the band, you got to go in person. The rest of the set did well. It was very cool to hear Mick sing Mess It Up. For me, the highlight of that song is hearing him sing those verses, and the way he bends those notes and the way he attacks and bites into each of those lines. Very fun, and it's good to see that song come together. It's getting better and better. The other highlight for me in this show continues to be what is a highlight on all the shows, is listening and focusing on Keith on the song Jumpin' Jack Flash. That song is really his centerpiece, and really is when he is the all-powerful Keith Richards. You'd have to be deaf, blind, and stupid to listen and watch Keith play this song even today and think that he's slagging off or just not present. En contraire, he's completely there and doing all the Keithisms that you expect. And so far, every Jumpin' Jack Flash on this tour so far has been the centerpiece of the show, where the band reminds you who they are and reminds you why they're so cool. And in Glendale, it was really great to hear Keith and his amp just soaring. And if I'm moving around and dancing during Jumpin' Jack Flash, that means it's a great one. And this one in particular was grooving. It was pulsing and just absolutely digging in. And really, it's a song that puts a spotlight on everyone in the band. I've been talking about Keith really owning this song, but it's really also Steve there providing all that foundation and just pushing it and giving it his all. And it's really quite a moment in the show. The Glendale show was an improvement, and each of these shows are just an improvement from the last one. And the Glendale one was obvious that they were bringing it up a notch, but things were still a little mushy. But then we get to Vegas. For this show, I was in the rear GA for this, and unfortunately the sound was very, very inconsistent to say the least. But my friend and I, we had a fantastic time, and it was very clear that this was a different Stones. This was the band finally reaching the level where we're all used to seeing them in. It was really something. It was so smooth and so great. The performance was absolutely on point. It was seriously like shocking to see Keith back. And, maybe it's the bandana that does it. I don't know. This is the first show with Keith on bandana instead of a beanie hat. So maybe that gave an extra bit of mojo to the show because there was something extra special going on here. We had the first ever Let's Spend the Night Together in the third song slot. And also we got the tour debut of the song Like a Rolling Stone, the great Bob Dylan cover, which the audience ate up and loved. The Hackney Diamond songs are really coming together totally. Angry, you can tell Keith is getting more and more comfortable with it and owning the song and taking control of those opening chords. It's really a strong performance, and Mick is just locked in on that vocal now. That first performance in Houston was very much compared to what I saw in Las Vegas. That was like a dress rehearsal in Houston, because in Las Vegas, they were absolutely tightened up. All the screws were tightened. All their T's were crossed. I's were dotted. And Mess It Up was even better. That's a great groove and so many cool things to enjoy about these new songs, because you can tell there's some extra vibrancy in these songs, and it really infuses the band with some energy. A very fun moment happened during You Got Me Rocking. You Got Me Rocking was one of the choices for the song vote that night, and instead of Mick introducing the song and introducing the song vote, which he usually does every night, he really makes a big deal out of showing the song choices and letting everyone know that we all voted for these songs. But he didn't get a chance to introduce the vote song because Keith went right into the song without Mick introducing it as the winner of the vote song. Here's a fantastic clip from the Fake Fan channel of that moment being captured. Take a look at Keith and Mick's reaction as he goes into the song. Another big moment for this show was that finally Keith was back with 2 songs during his set. Up until this point, he was only doing 1 song, which was Little TNA, but tonight we finally got You Got the Silver as his first song, and then the second song of his set was Little TNA, which also is getting tighter and tighter. He's having a bit of an issue kind of spitting out all the lyrics for this because they kind of rush into each other. quickly. And so for him to kind of catch up with the beat seems to be a little tricky, but it's definitely getting tighter. And so great to see the interplay between Keith and Ronnie during that breakdown. Again, the highlight for me was Jumpin' Jack Flash. Keith is absolutely on point and so present and just driving this song. And I love it because there's a little bit of a race now where they're all kind of challenging each other. You know, they're all bouncing off each other's energy between Mick and Keith, and they're creating such a synergy between the entire band to really... This is the grand slam moment of the show, in my opinion. And there are many, you know, the audience ate up Sympathy for the Devil. They ate up Miss You. And you can't always get what you want. The audience was particularly excited that night in Las Vegas. It was quite a roar after every song. It was very, very exhilarating and very cool to be there, especially in the rear GA. It's always a party in the rear GA, and I love seeing a show there. It's a little tough to see the stage. It's not as large as the no filter sets were, where the screen seemed to go up a little bit more and you can comfortably look up without having to kind of peer over the person in front of you. But it's still something you can easily watch. But the rear J is just super chill and relaxed and fun. And if anyone can make it to a rear GA spot, I've always recommended it, and it's great fun to be back there. My takeaway from this show was that the Stones have finally reached a point where they're on the same page and they're all working on all cylinders at this point. Keith seems to be fully recovered by now because he is animated, he is in the zone and determined to meet everyone else who is also performing at a very high level, especially Mick. All in all, ladies and gentlemen, this is the ascension into the beginning of the peak level of the Stones on this tour. Las Vegas was absolutely day one of that, almost reaching that point. The first two were, in my opinion, versions of rehearsals compared to what Las Vegas was. They finally got here. We were all concerned that things were looking a little too rocky, a little too lumpy. Let me tell you, the next few shows are going to be fantastic. They have found their rhythm, and this is the good stuff, guys. It's right here. And thankfully, it's all been captured in amazing footage. And my thanks to Fake Fan for documenting a lot of the show at Las Vegas, because it was a special show. So, in a nutshell, explosive, focused, and exactly what you need. Keith Richards has finally arrived on the tour, and it's a sight to see. Super excited to see what the rest of the tour has in store for us. Hopefully there are more goodies and more rare songs being pulled out. According to the Love You Live page, the Stones have done 28 different songs on this tour so far. Pretty good. Let's hope that number keeps growing. And before I go, I leave you with some fantastic shots taken from some great fans who have been on the tour so far. Take a look at these fantastic shots. Please consider subscribing. Hangfire will be your go-to place for everything to do with the Hackney Diamonds tour in the next few weeks. We're going to have a lot of content and coverage on the tour, so if you don't want to miss anything, make sure you hit subscribe. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time on Hangfire.